having wind in our sails. And whatever we can do to plan now to continue that is so valuable to us, and we need to be a leader in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to give you a little brief framework on how we're going to have this discussion. First, Janet is going to give us a macro perspective on what sustainability and sustainable design are and why livable, walkable, resilient cities are so valued. Then we'll have Jan Wayman, who will talk to you about architecture and buildings and why sustainable design is so important and how to achieve it. Next will be Tim Clemens, who will talk to you about urban form from a city and community perspective. After that, we'll follow up with Ella Woodmore. She brings an outside voice from a sister state of Massachusetts, and we'll share with you case studies and examples of other sustainable urban design successes, how they got accomplished, and the challenges that they faced. And lastly, we'll take to a local level and have Dave Goodwin show us how those elements are being woven into the environment in St. Petersburg right now, what's working, what's not, what initiatives on the horizon. So after that, we'll have an open discussion with the panel and a Q&A with the audience. So without further ado, Jamie.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not on. Am I on?
Oh, I'm on here. Oh, hello. Good afternoon. My name is Janet Hall. I'm a founding partner of Destination Better. Ryan and I work together on some chamber stuff, and it's great that we see some familiar faces in the room and some new faces too, so that's exciting. Today, we're here to talk about sustainable urban design, why it's important to our planet, why it's important to our city and our communities, cities that are designed with efficiency at the core, and communities also that provide a healthy place for people to live, work, and play. Today, you'll hear a lot of different words that we use in this industry. I'm not an architect. I mainly spend my day working on corporate business strategies, so helping companies understand what their environmental and social footprints look like and what they can do in the communities in which they work. So that's my perspective. So we hear a lot of things like LEED, which is a building design framework for water and energy efficiency, among other things. We hear about the well building standard. The well building standard for districts, for places, and for buildings puts human beings at the heart of its framework. And we know that we've got a well district in the Tampa Bay area, in downtown Tampa. We have the STAR communities, which we'll hear about today, which Sharon Wright manages, and I don't know where Sharon went, but STAR communities is a framework that the city of St. Pete uses to measure its progress against its environmental, social, and economic factors that are relevant for the city. We have the Grow Smarter strategy at the Chamber, and what's at the core of the Grow Smarter strategy at the Chamber is people, place, and prosperity. So every initiative under that has that balance. We also have business associations. My business partner, Barbara Anderson, and I recently launched the Tampa Bay Corporate Responsibility Network. We thought we'd have 8 people. We have almost 90. In about 8 weeks, so it's been overwhelming, but we're bringing those nonprofits and public sector people together with companies to talk about why it's so important to get our planning right. So from our perspective in our business, I want to take you a step back. We look at really big data, and 2 of our data points that we look at are this. We're going to have a lot more people on this planet in 2050. In North America, it's about 150 million more people, so it's about 1/3 more than we have now. And 2050 is just right around the corner. And in 2030, with that population growth, we're gonna have a 50% increase in demand for food and energy and a 30% increase in demand for water. So from a building, from a business, from a city perspective, we have to look at the risks and opportunities around those things. How are we going to make sure that our supply chains are safe, that our cities can continue to function the way that they do? And in the middle of that, we have climate change that exacerbates those food, energy, water issues. Those are the food, energy, water nexus. So from a business perspective and a city perspective, we look towards innovation opportunities. So what are we doing to take a look at making sure that we have resilient supply chains, that our cities are resilient? We look to higher education for what are we teaching in our higher education institutions? What are we teaching in design? Things like that, and bringing those groups of people together. And it's just not businesses and cities. Institutional and private equity investors are focused on this. So they know that businesses that have diverse leadership, that have strong business continuity programs, that are in geographical areas that have good solid infrastructure, that have good business continuity plans, and are reducing their use of fossil fuels. They are the ones that are more profitable. They weather market downturns better, and they also are the retainers of talent. So those are the things that we look at, and those are the things that are driving all of these wonderful things where we have these great creative people and architects that are helping us move through this. So one thing I wanted to share with you, a personal story, travel and tourism, important to our area. Our firm Destination Better was a part of the sponsor in a research project through Mandela Research called Sustainable Traveler. And we found that 60% of the US travel market wants to go to places that have those environmental and social things baked in. They stay longer, they spend more, they come back more often. So we need to start telling those stories better and ensuring that our community and our cities and our businesses are reflective of those practices. Back in the 60s, personally, my grandfather was the first chair of the Hillsborough County Aviation Authority. And I think I was like 4 or 5 at the time. And I remember hearing all these spirited conversations about art in public places and about people movers. And they took a lot of heat in the 60s for the bronze pelicans that you see hanging from the airport. Have you guys ever noticed those bronze birds? Yes, okay. It took moving mountains to get those birds in that airport. And also the people mover. They went up to Pennsylvania, they saw the people mover, and they thought, what can we do with this thing? And so 50 years ago, they were planning for what would become an amazing airport. They had no idea that it would be one of the top rated airports in the world. So bringing those collaborative, creative, public sector, transit, all those people together is in this sustainable urban design is how we're gonna make CP a great city. Thank you.